everybody to All About the Girls, the podcast. I have joining with me this month one of my longest friends of my whole life and a very wonderful human being, Sherina Gonzalez, the Director of Development for A Rosie Place for Children and a Jenny Craig helper, friend, supporter. You're just a beautiful human being in my life. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so really excited. Yes, me too.
Yes.
Me too. We're going to do that a lot. I think today is say the same thing maybe at the same time because we've known each other for long enough that that's going to happen. And I love it.
And that's perfect. Yes, I love it.
So obviously we will dive into all things Sherina. But first, tell us a little bit about you. For those that don't know you yet, beyond the job title, beyond A Rosie Place, which we'll dive into because I love them so much. But who is Sherina as a person?
That is a really great question.
And maybe a little bit of a large question. So apologies for starting so broad.
It's totally fine. So, about me, my grandparents were originally from Puerto Rico, but they moved to New York in their early teens, met each other, got married, had separately both grandparents, my parents. And so I actually was born in Long Island, New York. So I am the oldest of four. I have two sisters who are 2 years younger. They're twins. I have a younger brother. So born in Long Island, New York, parents got divorced when I was 8. And so as a way for my mom to sort of restart, she moved the four of us to Niles, Michigan. We had some extended family here. And so we came to Michigan and my dad stayed in New York. So
and how old were you at that point?
So I was 8.
Okay.
Yep, I was 8. And so growing up, my dad stayed in New York. So he would come, we would see him at least twice a year. He would come pick us up in the summers, drive from New York, take the 10-hour drive. It should be 12, but he's a speed demon. But
speed demon, Dad
speed
says.
Demon.
Watch this.
Yes, and come pick us up, bring us back to New York. We would stay there for a few weeks, and then he would bring us back. And then he would surprise visit us throughout the year, just come to Michigan at some point when we didn't expect him. So there'd be all the tears of seeing him, but so we kept in touch. We were able to stay close. Growing up that way. So moved around quite a bit.
So had the dad living 10 to 12 hours away, depending on who's driving, and still stayed close, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, my parents were 16 and 17 when they had me. And then they were.
And you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest. So they were 18, 19 when they had the twins and 24 when they had my brother. So young parents.
4 kids under 25.
Yes. Can you imagine?
Before you're 25 years old. No.
As I've gotten older, I've had a lot more compassion for there was some tumultuousness that came along with that.
Of course.
And then just understanding that as we got older, okay, well, if I was 25 with 4 kids, I probably,
I probably would have messed up a couple things myself.
Yeah. So, but with that, there's a lot of things that I always say I'm so grateful because he was very much insistent on staying in our lives and being a part, and being in our life. And so the cool part and funny part is just, I was raised growing up in Niles and Buchanan, Michigan, but then I would go to New York. So it's having this country city vibe, my whole life of just
kind of get exposure to both.
Yeah. Which I feel like it's really, sort of forms who I've become today as far as just a lot that, and, the moving, there was just, my mom was always trying to make it better for us. And so there was just a period of time where every year we were just moving. And, but I feel like it really contributed just to my flexibility and my ability to just sort of adaptability
and handle change.
And handle change.
Big.
And so those things, again, in reflection, you look back to it. And so, and the same with having that exposure of living in the city and all the fun things that go with that. And then also living in a smaller Midwestern town, my high school graduation, my cousin came to visit and we were sleeping the night before. We were laying in the bed, and all of a sudden she heard a cow mooing, and she's like, "Is that a cow?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually."
She's like, "Yeah, that's not what I hear from my bedroom window."
I was actually actually, I don't think they were even. They've never had a cow. All of a sudden they do since you're here visiting. But I always laugh in reflection, just because again, I feel like it's helped just to become a very diverse person. I feel like that just is able to relate to people from a bunch of different backgrounds. So that was a lot of, the growing up part where when I graduated from high school, I graduated from Buchanan. high school in Michigan and wanted to try the city life, went to New York and lived with my dad for a year and decided that was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to live somewhere where I could afford to have a car and move out and all the things. And so I ended up coming back and going to school here. So I went to, our family was really into art growing up. That was one of the things that my dad, he was just cool, sort of like graffiti art. My mom, she was really crafty. My stepdad really loved drawing and really good at it. And so as kids, we would just, they would have us watching Disney movies and pause it, and we would just be drawing and sort of dabbling in things. So all four of us have that sort of background. So when I went to college, I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll get into more fine art. In high school, I loved to take ceramic classes. But as I got into college, I got my associates in graphic design because I was thinking, oh, digital art. Yeah. But when I started doing some of the interning and, I'm in this office for 8 hours a day by myself, sort of working on design, I was like, I don't know if this is really what
this is computer screen every day for me.
I was like, I don't know if this is really like my passion, just because I want to be, obviously I was more outgoing and a lot more social, and I love that aspect of it. And so that's when I decided to go for my bachelor's and focus more on business, and got that in marketing, a focus in marketing and advertising. So that was sort of intertwining the business aspect of it, but still have that creative artsy side. So that's sort of where some of the foundation of my career came from, of like where I ended up going with that. But it's been the journey of just, and along the way, just have taken from a younger age, just started doing some traveling and meeting some great people. I went to, I laughed because, I moved out when I was 17, so right after high school, and then started going to school full time when I finally decided to do that. So, and then decided that working was the most flexible way to do that would be working the service industry. And so I started working at restaurants and just being able to work full time, go to school full time. And so, and then in my early 20s, I started working at Applebee's, and I met Jenny Craig Brown.
That's me.
That's you. Jenny Craig to become Jenny Craig Brown. So.
Yeah, you met Jenny Craig, and then I became Jenny Craig Brown throughout our friendship.
Yeah. So no, I was reflecting on that and just thinking like, it's just cool, like how our stories, sort of started, and then over the years, and just
because at that time in my life, like that was you're in, at this point you were living in South Bend. Yeah. But still, obviously, which is so close to Niles, it's 20 minutes away. So it's just kind of like living near your hometown. And you were going to school and working at Applebee's. And I came to do the same. I had moved from Lafayette to South Bend to finish school and work as well, and got a job at Applebee's. Yeah. That's such a big part of our lives. Yeah. The Applebee's days.
Yeah. And the service industry, just
at large. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all the fun memories. It's interesting. People say things like, wow, you guys have been friends for that long. And I always say,
because this is like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2000. I think
it was 2004 is when I moved to South Bend, I think.
Does that sound right too? Yeah.
So I think so. 2004 or 5. I'm pretty sure
22 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We need to take an anniversary trip.
Yeah.
Friendiversary, Cancun.
Friendiversary, yes. Maybe stop at Applebee's, but maybe not. I don't know. But because you're in the industry. For people who are in the industry, they know, like, it's so bonding, because there's times where it's so tumultuous. There's so much going on. You sort of go through all these situations with the people around you. It's like you either hate them or love them, and they become like lifelong friends.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that's a lot of what happened. And,
like, Waiting is a movie because it's really real.
Yeah.
And so
I forgot about that movie. Yes.
And it's like so much of that life. Yeah. Some of these people you just become lifelong friends with, and some you're like, I really want you to not work here.
Yeah.
So into the service industry, that's when we meet. Obviously not in the service industry anymore. Right, so have kind of left that behind you. But
yeah. I was for quite a while. I was thinking about it, because between graduating from high school and then taking a year. I was living in New York, coming back, sort of working full time, going to school full time. I drug out 6 years of education. Took me about 10. We had our graduation
That's how
party.
It works. Yeah, we had our graduation party together, which was also awesome.
Yeah,
Cheers
which was awesome. But yeah, so
I was just thinking about that time that I got a carton of cigarettes for my graduation party. It's fine.
I know. I always forget.
What a wild life we've had.
I know.
It's so
seriously.
funny to think about. I got a carton of cigarettes for that graduation party.
And you were
as
like,
a gift.
Okay.
I don't smoke anymore, world, because
Yeah.
I'm not 21 anymore.
Yeah.
Wild.
And it's so
Like,
interesting.
What a weird...
And I was gonna say, I mean, it's like you did smoke for a while, but it wasn't, it's like, and then you didn't, and now it's sort of like, oh, you did?
Yeah.
So
it's same for me. Even I'm like looking back, I'm like,
oh yeah,
I smoked enough to get a carton of cigarettes.
And
it's
excited
like a
about
friend,
it.
kind of almost like a joke gift. Like,
Yeah.
hey, girl.
Yeah, gotcha.
But I smoked them, so it's fine.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I barely remember that I smoked either. But
I mean,
it's just
all
so
the
funny.
things. Yeah.
What a weird,
Yeah. And so I was looking back and reflecting because I was still working a couple jobs at a time, but I would keep sort of the service industry as my second gig backup. Because most of the time I was living alone or, just sort of having that. But I sort of was able to finally get out of that and get more into my professional career. I had gotten married right before I graduated, and then my mother-in-law at the time had found a newspaper article, like a listing in the Leader for a assistant advertising, like an advertising representative assistant or something like that. And I was living back in Buchanan, but I was thinking that would be perfect. I just got a degree in marketing and advertising and, doing this. And so I was able to start that job. And I mean, it turned out to be a 10-year adventure with that company and being able to sort of move from being the assistant. And they needed someone who was actually the representative to do like print and online advertising sales. And so I started doing that in one territory up in Michigan, Southwest Michigan, then another, and sort of moving around in the company. And so that was sort of where I was able to sort of transition out. And I found, I know people talk so much like they hate sales and there's like so much of a, there's so much
that
of a
negative
vibe
with
around
it.
But honestly, that was where I was able to really start meeting people, sort of similar to the service industry when you're working in a restaurant and you get to meet people and talk to people and help them and adding on. And, so I was getting sort of intrigued with this whole dynamic of being able to connect with customers and business owners and got to really love like, oh, and there's a commission structure that goes with this,
I like money.
I need money. Because at this time I was like going through a divorce. So then it's like, okay, how can I sort of build on that? And so that's where I sort of started, I was able to sort of transition out of more of the service industry side of things and get into business. And so, it's been a fun adventure and got me into my 30s and start all the things. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And kind of brought you to where you are today. It's definitely a good, and we worked there together for a little bit.
Yes,
That's where I got my little graphic design first job right out of college. And it was not great. I'm so glad I don't work there.
There are all the stories.
I smoked then too, but I had to survive.
Oh my gosh.
The Thanksgiving Day newspaper will never leave my brain. I'm scarred for life.
Your 26-hour shift.
36-hour shift.
36-hour shift.
It was a day. I worked a day and a half straight. Yeah, those were the wild times of life being so pandemonious that I think in your 20s, it's good for you to have a pandemonious life. Like,
of course.
There's drama, whether it's like friend drama or it's work drama, boy drama. Yeah, there's always this drama in your life, I think, in your 20s. I think it's just part of your life. And it helps you. I think in your 30s go, man, that was rough. Let's not have all the pandemonium.
Right.
Let's kind of cut that down a little bit. And then in your 40s, you're like, I ain't putting up with none of it. And you're like, just don't do it.
Back Well, and that's how it's been, you know, as we're in preparation for this, just this like reflection and looking back and laughing. But man, it's cool. I mean, now I'm 40, 45 and looking back, and it's just sort of see how all the things, and of course at the time there were like these, like the world is ending events that are going on, or like, you know, there's this drama or like, friends, like work, money, jobs, people, guys. But seeing how you get out of that and just are able to look back in reflection. And I feel like that has been very much my experiences looking back, and seeing those are what strengthen me today and have helped me to really just, as I'm moving forward and doing all the things and being able to sort of look back and keep things lighthearted and keep things and remembering that they're not
and
all,
keep looking back at the good, or pulling the good from every situation and trying to keep it positive.
Well, because so many things fed into exactly, they say, you know, it's like everything leads you to where you are today.
Yes.
And like people and
100%.
all the things. And I see that so much. So it's actually cool. It's really, I don't want to say empowering, but empowering. It's really encouraging. It's very encouraging, because even now as we are in our life and we're trying to figure out like, am I in the right path? Like, am I going in the right path? Like what, you know, there's these opportunities or this, and it's just really great to, I think, for everybody just to take a minute and reflect, look back and sort of see where you were, where you've ended up, how that happened. There were some good things. There's some hard things. There's some amazing things, you know.
Some hard learns and some great successes along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great way. Reflection's super important. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
So looking at where you're at now, if your life right now were a book chapter, what chapter would this be called?
What would it be called?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Where do you feel like you are in your life right now? Like, what is that kind of vibe or place or season is another good word, chapter, season?
So that's a really good question. I will say I'm really grateful that, so I turned 45 in October, and just the couple years beforehand just have been a really hard season. And I feel like going into 45 after doing a lot of reflection and therapy and trying to just like process and go through things in the first 45 years of my life, and really wanting to be intentional and making a decision that was, you're about to be 45, you're just turning 45, you know, now I am 45. So these few months of like, because of who I am, this is how I talk to myself of like, if this is your halfway point, girl, like, what do you want the rest of this to be, you know? And so of course I hope it's more like less than my halfway point, right? I would like to live to be 90, if not longer. And with that being said, it is like, okay, first 45 years, you've spent the last couple of years really like mourning through some of the hard things and healing through some of the hard things.
So important.
And that was very important and very necessary. And I'm very proud of you. So like, okay, now with that, what are you going to do with it? You know? So, I mean, literally I sort of in my own brain and in my own journals have been writing that, like, this is my new chapter. And it's very much just focused on, okay, here we go kind of thing. That was the foundation. That was the start. Nothing's ever perfect, but there were some really great things, really awesome reflections and lessons learned. Dabbled in a lot of things. I'm a woman of like all the interests and like, you know, trying all the things, visiting all the places, trying to meet all the people. What do you love? You know, that doesn't have to stop, but if you want to focus on things, what does that look like? So I really am so grateful to be at this point where I feel like I am starting a new chapter of just feeling a lot more healed and very much ready to go into the next half of my life, and really letting go of some of the stuff that are what the expectations of, you know, like, oh, you don't have children, right? I'm like, I'm single, I don't have children. You have a dog, you like to travel, you know, all these things that are maybe like not, you know, typical of what someone in the Midwest would be, you know, like a woman, myself, living in South Bend, Indiana, would be doing at this point in her life, but being really okay with it and really excited for moving forward and just embracing who I've become now, you know, even though
I will call the chapter grateful reflection.
Oh, I like that.
That's what that sums up, because you're really looking back. And then
I need you to sum it up because I don't know, obviously. Yes,
it's so hard, but I think that's
reflection.
what it is. It's like you're really looking back and then using that to be who you want to be and become what you want to become.
Yep.
That's great. Yep. It's fantastic.
I'm embracing
And if you kind of, as you reflect back, which I love, and I think it's so important, and you do that so well, and I think everyone should do more of that. You think me included. It's so good to just kind of reflect on a lot of that background, whether it's, childhood traumas or things that did work well. Either way, you really should reflect often. I think that's good. But as you reflect, are there any sort of influences, experience, or maybe a moment early on that kind of shaped who you are today? Is there a thing that you would bring up? Like a moment, a thing? Is it that dad New York thing, or is it the divorce from your parents, or is it actually, it's none of those, it's this person? Like, is there something big from early on that you think?
I mean, yeah, I would say from earlier on, I would definitely give my dad props for that, for he's straight up New York, Puerto Rican.
Very much. God love him.
But yeah, I mean, and that was the thing, is just like from a young age, I think he was just really vocal about being sure that we knew that it was like we had to work hard for where we're going to go and make sure that we knew what we wanted to do. And he was and continues to be a really big supporter of just, you
build
could do
your
it.
own.
Yeah, you could do it, And so I feel like some of it was a challenge. Like I was younger, it would be more of like this fight, this like sort of fighting banter back and forth.
But Dad,
you
don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. And I would get irritated about it. And it might have come off abrasive, at first, but it did stick with me because, he would say things like, you don't have to just be book smart, be life smart, because I was always like, I want a straight A's, I want a perfect attendance, but also I felt like I also wanted to be, and I knew I was independent. I mean, I had gotten a lot of that from him too, and strong-willed, and wanted to do things. And I wanted to live a life differently than what I had seen when I was younger. I wanted it different than what they had. Like I was like, no, I don't want children. I don't want to have kids at young age. I want to do something different. I want to travel. I want to like get a degree and see the world. So, that was really impactful. And then secondly, through my mom too, she was really religious, and sort of that helped a lot with her healing, and just that exposure to God from a young age was really impactful. And that's like stayed with me too. So I think those dually, in sort of different ways, one was sort of practical, one was more spiritual, but it sort of made me who I am today. So I feel like that's been really,
that's a great, well said. Tell us a little bit about, for those that don't know, A Rosie Place. For children.
Yes.
Tell us what that is, what it's all about.
I would love to. So A Rosie Place for Children, we're actually licensed as a children's hospital, the only one in Indiana. We actually offer respite services for families who have medically fragile children. So a medically fragile child is a child
I was just going to say, tell us more about that. What does that mean?
So a medically fragile child is one that requires skilled nursing for day-to-day living. So they have a medical complexity that's part of their everyday life. That could be a breathing tube, it could be a feeding tube, it could be a medication regimen that if it is not adhered to like very strictly, they could end up in the hospital. Right. It could be life-threatening. So with that being said, there's the families that are caring for these children, it's 24/7. Yeah. And a lot of times those are family members that they don't get a break. Their child requires very specialized
24/7 care.
Yeah. And so with that, a couple things that have happened are that the family, again, they can get very burnt out. There's issues with their relationships, marriages and the other children. There's just all the things that go into when you have a medically fragile child. And then the medically fragile child doesn't really get a lot of socialization because they require such skilled nursing. They're not getting invited to sleepovers down the street. They don't get to just hang out with kids. And if they do, they
still can't probably go.
Yeah.
Because that care won't be there.
Right. So what happened was about 20 years ago, our CEO, Teal Bishop, so she actually...
If you don't know her, go meet her because she's fantastic.
She is amazing. So Teal had a medically fragile child named Max and went through the experience of he had contracted RSV at a young age and was down at Riley Hospital, and he was there for 7 months. She was living in Ronald McDonald House, and he was intubated. There was all the things going on with him. Wasn't expected to walk or talk if he survived. So fortunately, he did. He survived, and he's 27 years old now, and the chief inspiration officer for A Rosie Place for Children.
Yeah, and so he's just like, he's gotten past, I think, all of the things that they said he would not.
Yep.
He's like fully functioning,
yes.
totally healed adult.
Yep. And so at that time, though, with that experience, when Teal was being discharged from the hospital with him and he was able to finally go home, it was just realizing that there was no place for sort of more support for families who had to go through this and the children that had experienced this. So herself and her pediatric doctor at the time, and then a whole slew of some of the people that were involved with the hospital at that time sort of started talking about this and brainstorming and envisioning a place where parents could get support, children can get an opportunity to have sleepovers. And so
that experience of life that they are just not getting.
Yeah. And so Rosie Place for Children was opened in 2011, and it's actually, like I said, licensed as a children's hospital. It's a space where medically fragile children can come. They stay with us from between 3 to 10 nights for sleepovers. So they get this sleepover experience. There's other children there. They get they get nurses that take care of them. So families don't have to worry. They get a break too. And that's
they get a break, and the kiddo gets a break, and they get to go kind of experience life in this new setting, in this new way, which the place is also very fun and set up for such great experiences too.
Yeah. So we have, and it's, for anybody who wants to come tour.
And it's free. I think we should say that too. For the parents, it's free.
Yes.
They can do this no charge.
Exactly. The beautiful part is that this is at no cost to families. And so with that, the family can bring their child for 3 to 10 nights. The child gets a sleepover experience. The family gets a break. They do not have to pay out of pocket. And
they can trust that their kiddos will be cared for.
Yes, exactly. So, and we say that we create a world of yes for medically fragile children and their families, and we won't quit. Is our mission statement.
So that was beautiful.
Yeah, and so they live with a lot of no's in their life of like what they can't do, what they're not able to do, what people cannot do for them.
I bet.
And our whole vision is, okay, they're coming for a sleepover. Not only what is their diagnosis, what is their medication regime, what do they need for care, but also what can they do for fun? Can they play in the sprinkler? We're going to do artwork with them. Can they play in the dirt? Is it okay if we see if they like to do like bubbles and put, and just depending on where they're at. And so that is really the whole heart of A Rosie Place, is to offer this like love, care, and fun for the children. And so we're actually one of only 6 in the whole US that do what we do. So very specialized.
So you have a large reach. I suppose people could come from hours away to take advantage if they.
So we serve 92 counties of Indiana.
Okay.
So there's there's some parts of it that we can bill through some of the coverage that they have through Medicaid, but most of it is through philanthropic and the beautiful generosity of organizations and people in our community, foundations. So we're so grateful, but we do focus on the 92 counties of Indiana to start. With that being said.
And is that basically the whole state?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Okay.
I was
the whole state of Indiana.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, And so we are actually, this year we're celebrating 15 years of serving Indiana and serving medically fragile children. So we're super excited for that. And just want to continue to reach more children, and the children that we have, just continue to love on them, help the families that we connect with. So
yes, that's great. I love it.
Yeah.
And now tell us about the big event that's right around the corner.
Sure. So again, the way that we run A Rosie Place for Children, we are a nonprofit 501c3, so that we, again, are able to offer our services no charge to families. And we do a bunch of fundraising so that we can support that. We have 3 major events. This is our biggest one. So the Sweethearts Ball is a black tie gala that is going to be held on Valentine's Day, February 14th.
Yay! Take your sweetheart to the ball.
Take your sweethearts to the ball. So this year will be our 14th year of the Sweethearts Ball. And we're actually the theme this year is Written in the Stars, celebrating then, now, and always. And with that, we are really excited to just pour love into the people that have been a part of A Rosie Place from the beginning. So it's a combination of some of the original founders and some of the original donors and the people, the staff. So now is really focused on our board members, our staff members, and then always is about the children and about their families. And so we have that theme going on, and the event is one of our biggest fundraisers. And so we have sponsorships available for attending, but we also do really great things like auctions. There'll be entertainment. New this year, we're adding a dance party, which is really fun. So
Yay!
yeah, so it might not be that everybody could attend. It actually is pretty close. We're closing out as far as ticket sales and the like. But we did open it up this year so that starting from 9 to midnight for people who want to come in and just sort of get a vibe of the ball, but come enjoy the dance party.
Yeah.
So
they can kind of pop in late and just go dance party. Yeah. So they get it kind of to see and experience the ball, but they don't have to come for the whole night.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be a great post V-Day dinner.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Party.
Yeah. So for $50, they get to come in, enjoy. So we're going to have Mr. Z Bands is going to be opening out for the first hour. They're going to be playing, and then Big Perm from United 3 is going to be DJing the rest of the night out. They'll get a special dessert, and then also get to support the mission of A Rosie Place for children. So we're super excited to offer that too for people in the community that maybe are, again, wanting to do something fun, wanting to support a really great mission and come to hang out with us and sort of see what the Rosie Place is all about. And that's at the Gillespie Center.
I was going to mention, and I don't know if we did, so maybe we did, maybe we didn't, I'm not sure. But I was going to mention, so A Rosie Place is based in South Bend.
Correct.
And then, so the gala is also, of course, in South Bend as well at Gillespie Center, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous venue.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's perfect for that.
Yes. So, So,
so join us at the dance party, because I'm coming.
Yes, we'll be there. It'll be a fun thing. And so this year our theme is with celebrating that. We are going with sort of like a vintage Hollywood
so exciting
attire is encouraged, not necessary.
I've got ideas.
Yeah, same. So it's going to be really exciting. And that is always a really important event. So aside from it being beautiful and fun and all the things, that really is so foundational in offering us the support that we need to continue to serve as many children as we can, to reach them, to offer these services at no charge to family, and be able to continue to service the medically fragile
kids of
children of our communities. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
Know,
well, good. So please join us on the dance floor.
Yes.
It's gonna be, Big Perm's awesome. If you don't know him, he's fantastic. It's gonna be so fun.
And it's really cool. I didn't mention this. So Mr. Z Band, I told you, is going to be performing. So their headliner, Brittany, she's actually on staff with us at A Rosie Place. And it's just a beautiful combination. She's a staff member. Plus she's got this beautiful
band that can come kind of kill it. And she does have a beautiful voice.
Yes, she does.
So I'm really excited too. So that's going to be really great to get to experience. And they play at Legends at Notre Dame all the time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. That's a big deal.
Yeah. So it's going to be a whole vibe. It's going to be a lot of celebrating, a lot of being able to showcase people and for a beautiful mission. So
yeah, absolutely. So as you kind of work through this career and you work with A Rosie Place, what do you wish more people knew maybe about what you do every day and what A Rosie Place does every day? Is there something that you wish that you could kind of help the understanding of?
I feel like the biggest thing, this is where it's been sort of a beautiful culmination to my career, because like I mentioned before, a lot of what I loved about doing sales and sort of working with customers is that connection. And then the reason that I connected with A Rosie Place was all the way that the stars aligned, but also just because of the mission and how beautiful it was. And I love that now it is pretty much my job to really share the mission of what we're doing, and then thanking the people who are involved and really bringing attention and gratitude to them. And so it's just a really cool sort of spin on these people, again, organizations, individuals, foundations, that is what they're on their heart, is to help support beautiful missions like ours. Mm-hmm. And so I'm the director of development and really focused on, how do we develop, right? How are we fundraising? But not only that, like, how are we loving on the people who are supporting us? And I love that that is sort of like my daily challenge is like, how do I make sure to thank the people who've been providing us gifts, whether it's monetary, whether it's donations. We had so many people who offer donations for the auction for the ball, but, and it's just different people within our community that have been a part of the mission for years that are talking about us. And so I think that part is what I really especially love about this is that it's just every day I'm focused on, it's not just what can we get, I love that our CEO Teal, it's very much like, we are not broke. We don't want to have this like scarcity mindset, right? We're doing something amazing and beautiful. And we have seen such beautiful generosity in our community. And how do we continue to give people a spot for them to know that, if it's on your heart to do something and help, like here is a mission and that is such a blessing, right? And so it's sort of showcasing that and the people who have been involved, inviting other people to get involved with that too, and seeing the big impact they can make on this marginalized part of, children and families in the community. And so, I would say as far as like with my position, that's what drew me to it was just the beautiful heart of it. And then also just feeling a lot more purposeful and having a lot more impact on something that was more significant than what I was doing for 20 years. So
absolutely. That's well said. So let's talk about kind of life beyond work, if you will. So I know your travels is a big piece of your life. You mentioned travels, family, friends is probably the three I would say I see in you the most. Tell me a little bit about the travel world and kind of how you why that's so important to you, why it's a big part of your life, and then kind of how you decide where you're going and when.
Yeah, it's so cool that is a part of my life that has grown the way it has and organically. Again, I sort of referenced earlier about just moving a lot, and just because in reflection, you think about how did that come about? And I think from a younger age, just going back and forth between New York and Indiana, Michigan. And my dad liked to bring us to Florida or go to Pennsylvania. And then as I got older and
kind of on the road a lot.
Yeah, I was like on the road a lot, used to not just staying in one spot. So there's a bit of that in there. And so even in high school and coming out of high school, it was like, oh, I want to take a road trip here and do that. And so I would like go with friends. We took a road trip to California, or we took a road trip to New Orleans. And
we took a road trip to New York.
You and I took a road trip to New York overnight.
Like
we drove 24 after work one night and just were like, let's go.
Yeah, we saw the Naked Cowboy in Manhattan when the Naked Cowboy was cool, like all over. I think that was when MTV still existed. And so, just all those things. And it was just one of those things that brought me joy and excitement. And so it's just sort of grown over the years more and more. So, I mean, also family in Puerto Rico. So I would go there and visit. And then as I got older and started having adult money, was being able to start thinking, I've just always been intrigued with other cultures and other parts of the world, just knowing I would look at pictures of the Eiffel Tower and just want to go to Paris one day. I want to do this one day. And so, as I got into my 30s, I just really started leaning into that. I spent a lot of time focused on my career and really wanting to work and go to school and make money and save money and all the things. And then I got to a point about 35 where I was like, you know what? I am just going to start going. And so that was when I first went to Europe, did the Paris, London, Dublin trip. And then a couple years later, went to Belize and started just pinpointing on the map, like, okay, where do I want to go? What is next? And so some were intentional, some were like, oh, well, I've been here before. We should go explore, check this out. And so, that was that. And then, do you want to go to Egypt? Yeah, let's go to Egypt, and after I had sort of a hard year in 2022. And in 2023, I was trying to just get myself excited again and just sort of find a happy place. And I was dreaming and thinking, where would I want to go? And I thought, and I'm like, I want to go to Italy. I think I think that would be fantastic. I've always wanted to go there. That's romantic. And I talked to my grandmother about it. And at that time she was 86 and I was telling her, I think I'm going to go to Italy. And she called me later that day and said,
well, do you think I could go too? And I was like,
yes,
you have been
please.
such a huge part of my life. So grateful for all the things she's done in my life. So I ended up taking her to Italy we went for 10 days in 2023 and did Rome, and we did Venice, and we did Florence and Pisa. And after that trip on our way home, I really started having this stirring inside of me that was thinking, man, that was amazing. Like, and at this time I had owned a house. I'd just gone through a breakup. I had my dog, but no kids, single. And I'm thinking, I think I'm going to probably sell my house. I think I'll get an apartment. Long story short, I started doing research, and I was like, I could just put my stuff in storage and take the dog and go to Italy, because I'm working. At the time I was working a remote job. And so I ended up doing that. And so I put my stuff in storage after I sold my house, and I did all the research to bring my black lab with me to Italy. And we spent 12 weeks and we just adventured through it. So that was a whole adventure. And yeah, it was just coming back. I decided, well, I could stay here, but the reality is, people are important to me too, my family, my friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I sort of want to see the rest of the world too. So I don't necessarily need to stay here.
Like, I don't want to move to Italy. I want to move to everywhere.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't want to move. I want to go.
Yeah, exactly. So I came back, and that's where, so I've been in this place that I'm renting for a couple of years, and just have plotted out a couple more travels in the past few years. And then recently I just decided to sort of did a lot of praying and reflecting and what I wanted to try next. And a opportunity to go on a mission trip to Kenya came across to me. And I said, yes, I think that is what I want to do. So I'm going to do that in March. So that'll be sort of a beautiful way for me personally to marry like my love of travel and then also wanting to serve. So I'm really excited for that opportunity.
Me too. I'm excited for you. It's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah.
What an opportunity.
Yeah.
A little nerve-wracking, I'm sure. Like what to expect and how to prep and do all the things.
This is
of
totally
course,
different.
Walk through all of that through time, and it'll be magic.
Yeah, this is going to be different. And, people are friends that have maybe followed me on social media, or just friends that have known me, are sort of thinking like, man, I haven't even thought about going to another country, or I've gone to a couple, or how do you even get started? And that's where I laugh and I say, it is really just one step after another of just like, first I did this.
Google it, figure it out, ask the next question, ask a friend, ask a person that's done it. Yeah.
Right. And it is, sometimes they're nerve-wracking. Some of the first travels were just there's travel groups, you could just sign up and go with. And so,
which is probably a great way to kind of dip your toe in. Like, hey, I'll just go with this group. I pay them, they handle all the details.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of slowly learn how to do the details and slowly learn how to do all that on your own. So that's a great way to kind of dive in.
I do encourage that, since I didn't do it in that sequence.
Yeah, you
I did
like did it all on your own. And then you're like, oh, there's this group travel. And then you're like, that's fun. And I'll do both. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I started to do the solo travel, and then was like all the things. And then when someone introduced me to the group travel, and I'm like, yeah, actually, this is a really nice way. I would say it's
because a lot of this you're on your own, like you're going by yourself. And so it's probably nice sometimes to have people, probably not always. Sometimes you probably like being by yourself too, but having the humans there too is probably fun.
Yeah. And especially like going to like Greece and going to Egypt, it was nice to have, because of obviously different languages, different currency, different cultures and things like that, to have someone that was like who is local and sort of can walk you through, get you the details. So there's a full experience. Obviously there's some great things about just being able to sleep in and do what you want to do sometimes, but also when you go to a country and if you're only going to be there 10 to 12 days and you have an itinerary, obviously you could do it on your own pace, but it is really nice to be able to get really engulfed in the culture and get to know it. So that's sort of how I've traveled historically. And then with this new opportunity of going to Kenya, that wasn't really even high on my list of like places to go, as far as just, I have the whole world on my bucket list. And so, but with that being said, more than where I was going, I wanted to do something significant, specific, that like resonated with my heart. And so that was
beyond just the travel.
Yeah. And this is not just like I'm going to see see the sights, right? It's more like, okay, what do you need me to do?
How can I help?
How can I help build a school? Like whatever, who do we need to pray for it? Yeah. So it's going to be a beautiful, like next level experience for me. And I feel like the same, it's going to be one of those things that like ties everything together. It's going to be this really great experience in a different way. That's also going to help to enrich in addition to all my other experiences, and sort of, I know there's going to be great things that come out of it for me. So I'm excited for that.
And on the travel side, but on the mission side too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And on the personal growth side. So I mean, again, it's so funny because the Sweethearts Ball is coming up, and I'm like, you know what? It was just, okay, this is after that timing. Okay, great. That's on the calendar. Let me focus on this first and then get to that. But it's always nice to have something to look forward to. And so that's where, for people who are always saying like, I want to travel, I need to travel, I tell them, just do it. Just get it on the calendar.
Yeah. Start small. Like plan a trip to South Carolina. And then plan a trip to something like we just did a Scotland Island.
Yeah.
What an easy travel. Cool. Not because it's close, but because they speak the language and you can read everything and it's so easy. Start small, like do little trips and then grow. And then you can do Kenya or you can do wherever you want, but you can just do it. Just start it.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing is just, it's this fine line. It's like not living without any thought for the future. But, it's a fine line of, yes, we are the youngest we'll ever be, is what I always say. And for me, I'm the youngest I'll ever be, right? So it's one of those things, if you have the opportunity, if you're able to, like, yes, take the step out. It is a little bit of a stretch, right? It might be a stretch financially. It might be a stretch outside of your comfort zone, to do something that you've never done before. But you will never regret doing it, right? You're always going to regret, I should have just done it. Yep. Everything had lined up and I was just scared and I didn't do it. And for me, as I'm going through like the second chapter of my life, I'm thinking, I always want to live that way. I don't want to live like I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I want to live with like, man, I'm so glad I did, and that could be sometimes that the decision is like, don't, because that's going to be wiser not to for whatever reason. But with that, it's really letting those opportunities come across the table and be excited to look at them and see if it's something that might be a good time for you to do.
I love that. So as you kind of I guess that's probably the question is, what kind of helps you stay connected to yourself while you balance career, family, friends, travel, personal life? Like what helps you stay connected to you?
Yeah.
Or as you?
As me. Yeah. I mean, just all the things. I mean, as you could tell, I have a million things going on in my brain and in my life. But I really feel like a lot of reflection. I've always been a really reflective person. And I think, again, that spirituality and really leaning back into that and just allowing that to be sort of a centering for me, just because life is hard and there are always going to be hard things. And so we can have all the plans, we could have all the goals. And especially in the past couple of years, I've really come to understand and to see that at the end of the day, there are a lot of external things we cannot control, but it's our internal. And so a lot of that is focused on embracing that, really being focused on just giving yourself quiet time. So the past couple of years have just been really a little bit more slowing down. I mean, I'll intentionally travel and I'll intentionally socialize with my family and my friends because those people that are important to me, but it's a lot less of the just like going out for the sake of it. Or just, I feel obligated. I pulled away from a lot of obligatory, like, oh, I'm part of this group and this group and this group and doing other things. It's like, now it's a lot more intentional. And the reason that is so important is just because, again, it helps to start to strengthen, like I am as much as in control of my life as I can, as far as I cannot control the external, I can control the internal. So if I need to start my day with quiet reflection and gratitude and journaling and prayer and working out, like I'm owning that is what I can control. When I leave the door and go to work, I cannot control after that.
Right.
And so I think that I feel like being humble to hear from loved ones or ask them, like, hey, am I showing up? And if I'm not, please help me to like get back on track, because we can get consumed with our own worlds and forget.
Life's when it's not busy too. Like you're so busy trying to balance, trying to juggle. that's not always going to be perfect.
Right. And the thing is that, I mean, we are going to grow and things are going to transition in relationships with family and friends and things like that. So it's sort of also, I agree, I appreciate that I have that adaptability and that flexibility where there are times where I can just go after my goals. And then there's times where it's like, no, this person's sick or this responsibility is work is extra busy right now. So it's just for a season that you might have to dig deeper into one aspect of your life, catching up financially, catching up on your health, fixing your marriage, like whatever that part is. So for me, I feel like just really keeping tabs on that is so important, whether it's daily, weekly reflections, just having these in your place and even scheduling them in your calendar. Like on Sunday at 7 p.m., I am taking 20 minutes to write down and make sure that am I running in the right direction, of my life. And so, or, whatever that looks like for people. But for me personally, I feel like those check-ins are what has helped me to stay really grounded and help me to stay on the path, as much as possible.
Yeah, that's great way. Yeah, great way to say it. Yeah, absolutely. And what is something that you think that you've built some kind of intentional space for in your life?
Yeah. I mean, just back to that, it's been
the gratitude.
Yeah, the gratitude, but really just like the quiet of just reflection. And so again, people comment about, girl, you're so consistent with the gym. And it's because it's not even like, I always say it's not even intensity. It's not perfection. It's just consistency. And the reason is because when I started working at the newspaper, after I got out of working in the restaurants, and I was struggling with my weight all these years and, trying to figure out how do I hit my fitness goals on top of like, I am a social person and I want to do all the things, and eventually realizing the only way it's going to be successful and consistent is if I go in the morning. And so even though I was not wanting to wake up, at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. So over the years, it's building up those habits, right? So for me now, it's a constantly flowing thing, but the reality is that there is always going to be things that go on. And so it's really like, what's the most important? And for me, I've been very proud that I have built a very consistent habit of the early morning wake up, and it was going to the gym for so many years. It still is, but now I've also incorporated, that's a quiet time for me too. It's like I wake up, do my gratitude journal, read my Bible.
That gets your morning.
Yeah. And then I go to the gym and then I come home, I get ready and I go to work. Right. So it's like, that 4:30 a.m. is not like always fantastic. But with that being said, that is something where I hold that very, even when I travel, it looks a little bit like, it looks a lot like that. There's that structure in there. But for anybody, I always encourage them, like, you have to.
That's what keeps you you.
Yeah. That's what keeps you you. Whatever's important to you, if that's the time that you need to wake up so you have, time with your children or with your spouse or, whatever.
Or maybe
that
without
like.
anyone.
Yeah.
Or
your quiet time.
I think quiet time's so important. And as I get older, I see and of course, as the interwebs go crazy and all the things, like we are fed information and voice and noise all day. And I am one that I'm realizing now, like, it's never quiet. And when it is, I'm like, oh
What's
my
wrong?
goodness,
It's
this
weird.
is terrible.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you need that and you need to build it in. And, I've seen everybody does it differently. And the people that do it well, I think I've seen in every, Cammie is from our office here. Cammie the lifer is, I think, someone who, she says oftentimes she'll drive home in silence. Candace is a friend and alum of the podcast, and she does the same. She'll drive with nothing on.
Yeah.
It is foreign to me to consider not even turning on music.
Really?
Like, I don't even know what a silent ride home would look like. I would be so wildly uncomfortable.
Girl.
But I'm trying to build that in some places.
Yeah. And actually, I was going to say, I think that at this time in our lives, we're pretty close in age. And I think this is the time when we start sort of thinking about those things and paying attention. And with, there being such an influx of social media and noise with that. But it's so funny because another really good friend of mine, Beverly, and I have been talking a lot about this recently and being challenged to have more quiet time.
Build it.
And build it in, because that is where the reflection comes in. That is where, you know, if you're spiritual, that's where God talks to you, or that's where your brain processes. That's where you get your aha moments. So we
your
actually
own
started
self-talk happens,
Yes.
right? Like if somebody's talking at you, whether it's a podcast or it's a song or it's whatever, an audiobook, if you're hearing noise all the time, there's no time for you to talk to you.
Exactly. Well, think about a conversation, right? It's not just you talking all the time. It's like you need to hear it too. So yeah, I feel like this is our next stage, is us being challenged to do that more and more. So,
Absolutely.
So that's where I've been in. Yeah.
And my next question, and I think I can maybe guess what the answer is, or you kind of mentioned it, is what is something you've given yourself permission to let go of? And it feels like it's those things that feel like obligations that really aren't. It's the going out with this group and going out with that group and doing all the things. Is that what you would agree?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that is a combination of whether it's networking, if for business, and it was again trying to do all the things, whether it's I mean, at this point, I'm not like, I intentionally am not dating, I'm intentionally, even with some relationships and some, whether it's with family and friends, you always feel the obligation. I have to like check in on them and do this, and they're expecting me. But sometimes, again, realizing like, yeah, people are busy with their own lives, and even people that you love, you would love to stay in touch with them if you live with them and you see them every day. But if you don't, and so I feel like I used to put that on myself a lot, where I would feel bad if I didn't connect with people very, very consistently. And because I have come to find out that I just needed more quiet time. I wanted to read more. I wanted to journal more. I wanted to have walks in nature. That just requires releasing a lot of those like external expectations. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a fine line. You want to make sure you're not neglecting the people you love, right? But it's also like,
but you can't love 700 people at the same level every day.
That's a beautiful point. And that too, that's another part. It's like, I don't need to be best friends with everybody. I love a lot of people, right? But we're not all going to be like best friends. We need to chat every day. And I understand now when people talk about as they get older and they're like, my crew got a lot more like closer and more intimate. And it was just
maybe smaller, but tighter.
Yeah. I mean, and there's people that's like, yes, we will always, if I see you on the street, like we are good, we're friends, but there's going to be those core people those are the ones that you sort of, hey, I'm going to sacrifice. I want to make sure that I spend time with them. I see them at least once a month or, whatever that is. But I feel like that has been a big growth thing for me in the past few years as I've gotten older, but it has allowed so much more peace, internal peace and the like. So, and I feel like I show up better for those people because like, you're giving yourself that time to sort of grow and you're not, stressed out and anxious and frazzled. And so it's like when you're able to show up.
I got to do this and I got to do this. And so then I kind of half-ass it candidly. And there's just less of that because you can show up for everybody because there's just less of the everybody's.
Yeah. And I feel like also like the people that are in front of you, I have come to really value like more one-on-one time where it's like, it's nice to have a big group because you get to sort of have all the people at once. But on the other hand, there is nothing that can be replaced with just one-on-one time looking someone in the eye, and they feel seen, you feel like you're seeing them, and you feel seen, so
I had dinner last night with a friend, and this friend was at our Christmas party that we had here in Valpo, and I saw him at that, and I saw him at one other thing over the last couple months. But what we hadn't done was get together and have dinner together, which we used to do at least once a quarter. I think we shoot for once a month. It never happens, but it's once every other month or once a quarter. And we hadn't for 6 months. And it was a 3.5-hour dinner, and I didn't get home till after 9, but none of that mattered because it was so good to just sit and talk with him. And it's, we're 100 miles a minute, both of us at the same time. And then you leave and you're like exhausted from it, but it's so fun and it's so, fulfilling to have that time with him. And like I said, I've seen him, but I hadn't really got to talk with him because when you go to the Christmas party with all your friends, everyone's talking at once to everyone and he's sitting at the other end of the table and you just don't get that time. And it is, I completely agree. It's really important.
Yeah.
So let's talk, I know you have some mentorship kind of background. I know that's something that you've tried to work in your life as to kind of another give sort of aspect. Who are the women who have opened doors or supported you along your journey? Let's talk a little bit more about the women in your life.
Well, you. not to get all mushy, but I will. I mean, you've like actually, yeah. So in preparation, and I was reflecting, and I'm laughing about our Applebee's days and all the things and stuff. But like, yeah, I mean, it's just like you've been such a big part of my life, and just I love with our relationship. I think about it. I've talked about it to other people too. It's just a beautiful example of someone that you meet in your life that just perfectly timed divine intervention kind of thing, where like they just are there. And then with us too, 20 years, you have those long time friendships. Yep. Not everybody has those, and we're so grateful. Like we're so blessed to have it.
We're very lucky.
But nothing's easy, nothing's perfect, right? And it's just like with family too. Those are like the kind of friends that become family, where there's the ins and the outs, there's the communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with you, I always talk about how I love that we keep becoming each other's like best friends, good friends, like it's just in different stages.
Evolves. Yeah. And like the evolution of the best friend, because it looks differently in every stage.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just because, in our 20s, we were these kind of people. Right. And then they're being distanced too. And so it's, especially if someone you're not like
4 minutes from, we were roommates.
Yeah, we were roommates.
Then 4 minutes from each other. And now 1.4 hours or something. Yeah.
And so with that, it's not only distance, it's time, as aging and the like. And so who we were as 20s was different. And it's sort of like, as we were shifting and maybe we felt like we were sort of drifting, and then it was like, we sort of circled back and we got into the same things again, but they were different. They were now like fitness focused, it wasn't just partying. It was like fitness and starting.
We retired the cigs and shots of tequila.
Yeah.
We made it. We made it. Runs and 5Ks. Yes. Spartan races and 5Ks.
Yes, which I love, And then like now in the season of life, the same, it's sort of like, okay.
Hot girl walks.
Yeah.
And like chilling on the couch.
And more like podcasts and books reading and, thought provoking and stuff like that. So so I would definitely say
thank
you.
Love you. Appreciate that. Love you.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I love that saying that people come into your life for a reason, a season, a lifetime. Obviously you're a lifetime, and then there's other people that I think back on, and they may have been in my life for just a short period of time, but they were really impactful. And like, even now with working at A Rosie Place for children, the reason I got connected was I was at a coffee shop, and 2 years ago in February, and I was working remotely for a different company, and this woman walked in and like dropped some papers on the ground accidentally. And so I'm helping her pick them up. And we look at each other, and she's like, well, hello, I'm Teal. And I'm like, I'm Sherina. And it was just like this really beautiful connection of like, I love your shirt. I love your shoes, like business cards exchange.
Like immediate little friendship almost. Like it was just like quick in that moment.
And the way so just, we'll have to get coffee sometime to get to know each other better. And then how that sort of bloomed and blossomed and just sort of aligned for me to be looking for something when she was looking for someone. But with that being said, like that relationship and how she's been just such a beautiful friend, mentor, sister in faith, like all these different things that, who would have known that would be the package that, like that. Yeah. And I tell
that's
people,
the moment you meet that person that's, and same thing, like a different person maybe wouldn't have helped or wouldn't have sparked a conversation or and same thing, that took both of you being who you are in that moment to bloom to where it is now.
Yeah.
And now she's like your friend, boss, leader, mentor,
all the things. Yeah. And I think that's just
all because she dropped papers at a coffee shop.
Right. And I was there at that time.
And you were there.
Standing in front of the door.
Yeah. And I think that's important.
I love that. That's a really cool perspective. I haven't thought about that. Yeah. Thank you.
Like there's no way if that was, think about my husband, quiet, a little bit more shy. He would totally have helped pick up the papers, but probably not sparked much of a conversation, right? It's just different people. Right. And so I think similar, like he would be so helpful, but maybe wouldn't feel comfortable to be like, hey, lady, I've never met before, right? Yeah. Where you do, because that's who you are. And I think that's that makes it work in those moments. That's like the kind of thing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I think about that. And then, again, I would say definitely my grandmother has always just been this beautiful, really consistent serving soul, very supportive.
Boyla's like the best
loyal
woman
to
ever.
the end,
her.
just and my mother, it's like, that has been tumultuous, but it's been so beautiful just for us to grow into where we are now, and looking back, and 16-year-old mother and the daughter, and like, all the tensions and stuff that went on. But with that being said, now being able to look back and be so appreciative for the strength that she had and everything that she did to sort of continue to move forward despite, the hardships that she was going through. And now that she's, and it's again, letting her show up the way she is and who I am with my sisters. So I am so blessed to have so many beautiful women in my life. And I tell people who may say like, I have a couple of friends that like, I don't have as many friends as you, or I don't, I'm not as social, and it takes everybody, right, to make the world go round. And I tell them like, well, that is the beautiful part of what I love about you is this, but I also say you don't know, you may have not met your best friend yet, right? Yeah. And that's like, those are the cool stories too, is that, or reconnect with someone that you didn't even know that they might be such an important part of your life. So whether they're in your life now or, being open to it, I think that that's so important too. But that's where I've come to feel so blessed, is just because I see the people in my life, and then I'm open to new ones too, but also just like loving people and really just being grateful for who they are and how they've impacted my life too.
Yeah. Because for some people, I'm going to be too much. Yeah. And some people are going to be like, I like your muchness. Like that's, what is it? The Alice in Wonderland quote. Like you used to be much more or muchier. I think is what it always was. It's something about you lost your muchness or whatever it is. But it's like, that is for some people, they want the muchy and some people too much. I don't want the much. Right. And I think that that's what makes the world go round. Like you said, it's the difference of people. That person that might be quiet might really like the person that's a lot, and maybe not, but I think that creates the balance that is.
And one of my closer friends now, Bev, that's part of the thing too that we always talk about. Is that,
I am she was polar opposites. I was going to say, like, you are a lot more muchier.
That's part of what I loved about her from the first time I met her, was just her calm, her wisdom, like, and it was opposite.
She's so kind. She's a lot calmer than me. But I love that about her, because I don't have chill and she has chill.
And I already have a JCB. So like,
I needed, exactly. Like, you don't necessarily need another one. I don't know there's any room in the world.
There is no other one.
But I think it's great. And it's such a balance, because then I think those relationships play differently in your life probably, but it's great to have that Bev. And it's great to have the JCB.
Yeah. 100%.
So tell me, like, legacy, future, looking ahead, what impact do you hope your work and or your life leaves behind?
I mean, that is obviously, it's one of those questions, like, who knows? And again, I feel like the biggest lesson I've learned is that I can do all the planning in the world and still not know like what is going to happen.
What next week brings.
Is going to bring, And actually, Bev and I just had this conversation, because I used to be so, and I still do sort of the planning, the vision boarding, the envisioning, the sort of like, what would I want to do? But it's in the past 2 years, it's become a lot less, it's become a lot more grayer, as far as I feel like I am less focused on just my checklist and like what I specifically want to do, and a lot more open to like what opportunities are going to come my way. And what am
I going to want to do in that moment?
And I don't know,
what do I want to do that's going to make me happy today?
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the plan and the check.
Yeah. And I feel like it may not always be, because it could just be a season of where I'm at, where I'm like, okay with that, a little bit more of that vagueness of it, because I'm like, I know where I'm at and I feel really happy with where I'm at. But in general, overall high level, when I talk about wanting to live to be 90 or 100 and the like, right? Again, going back to, I want to be able to look back with a very like, just super grateful for my life, like grateful that I was able to lean into opportunities and experiences and adventures. That I love my people super hard, and that they knew that they were loved as much as like I felt that I was loved. And so like when I think about the norm, I challenge myself daily to, Teal and I were just talking about this. It's very much like we have this huge checklist of things to do, obviously, like all the things that have to be done. But man, let us be interruptible. Let me like be willing to be because I've seen that where I'm like looking back, I'm thinking, you know, I said I want to be there for someone if they need me. And yet when this person interrupted me, I was busy, you know? So all that to say, it's like I'm less focused on like what I'm doing. And I really am focused on like, I do want to become, you know, who do I want to become? Right. And again, as I'm like leaning into my spirituality, it's like, who did God create me to be? And that's who I want to become. So really, you know, as far as the clear path to that, I'm not 100% sure, you know, it's really just future forward. And this next half of my life, I really want to focus on just, continuing to be open to growing, to, you know, experiencing. And then with that being said, like, if I need to come back, look back at my life and sigh and say that was a good run, right?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So yeah.
If nothing else, we'll get through it. Yeah.
I mean, but I see like specifically, you know, it's obviously I love the work I'm doing and I definitely want to travel and I definitely want to, you know, continue to, again, lean into opportunities that come my way. So we'll see what those are.
Perfect. And what is something that, or is there something that you're dreaming about or building that people might not see yet?
So I was just re-listening to my speech from All About the Girls. And I was laughing.
You were a 2025 speaker.
Yes. So that was like a beautiful experience. And I recorded it. And, you know, of course you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, all the things. But
why is my ear that way?
Why
Who cares?
I just all the sped things. Through that. People are trying to clap and I'm just talking over them and all the things, you know, just like our reflection.
We are our own worst critic.
Yeah. So, but I had referenced in there like, oh, you know, I'm a blooming author. And I'm thinking like, yeah, I feel like in the background, a lot of content, a lot of things, but just not really clarity on what that looks like. But in the future, I feel like, you know, whatever format that comes in. But I think that like so many people that I have met and that we know, like people have stories, great things. And some of it is, a lot of it can be used for good and used for helping and inspiring. And so for me personally, whether it's just to document my travels or, you know, to talk about how I was able to really navigate hard things and work through healing and forgiveness. And, you know, there's just all these different things that I have been documenting over the years that might eventually make it, you know, that might eventually be something I publish or talk about in the future. So those are sort of like in the back, you know, in the back works. But for the most part, a lot of it is just what I'm working on publicly, travels and work and all the things.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Good. And looking ahead, what's next for you personally or professionally?
That trip to, the Sweethearts Ball.
Sweethearts Ball.
Sweethearts Ball, February 14th.
Gillespie
Center in South Bend. Come join us. More, very specifically, very, very, immediate.
And they can probably find, I didn't even ask this earlier, tickets, if you just probably Google A Rosie Place for Children, South Bend, it'll be right on the website, right on your social. Ball. You guys have shared it plenty. So they can find tickets easily.
They can find tickets, connect with me personally if they want. I have any questions.
So that's most immediate.
That's most immediate. My trip to Kenya.
That's like secondary, right following a month later.
Yeah. So, and so really just excited for the growth we have. Teal and I have, and the team, you know, specifically, how do we serve more children? How do we help, you know, and the 10-year vision is maybe helping other states to get some of these locations open for ones that don't have them. So professionally, you know, just sort of leaning into where that goes as far as helping to just serve medically fragile children, serve other parts of our communities. So I mean, really, that's pretty much. I'm always wanting to be the strongest I've ever been, but I don't have any races signed up for right now or anything. So
I'm not signed up. I have a couple on radar, but same thing. I haven't signed up.
You did.
I need to find my half marathon.
I was gonna say
I need to find it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you feel like is bringing you the most joy or peace in this season?
Yeah. I mean, I think a culmination, we talked about it, so many things, is just like releasing the reflection and embracing that and just allowing there to be a lot more quiet time. And it's just brought a lot of peace and the healing part of it, doing that was a really hard time. I tell people, I get it. I understand why people don't want to dig into hard things, talk through therapy, do all the things. It sucks.
It's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. It sucks. It's hard, a lot of crying, all the things. But, years later, looking back, I'm thinking, I'm so glad I talked through that and got through that and found a way to process it and a way to talk about it and a way to move, forward from it, because I'm not holding on to that the way I was for so long.
And that's so detrimental to a lot of people. I think a lot of people hold on to things if they're not taught to communicate. We've had this conversation. I think you helped me learn how to communicate better as a person. Because I wasn't raised to really have the awkward conversation. It was just like a, old school Catholic mentality of sweep it under the rug and move on.
Right.
And I think that's so, similar. It points back to my parents had kids very young. They had 3 at 21. Like that's wild. And so of course they probably don't know how to do that well, more or less. And having that strong kind of Catholic background where we don't talk about those things and no one does those things and all of that stuff, I think kind of made it sticky. And I think I learned a lot of just, no, you always used to tell me like, let's rip off the Band-Aid. We're friends. We got to have the conversation. And I think that sucks, but never great, but it's always, it's necessary. And it makes things better in the long run. When you have that conversation, then, you can have that conversation and that says a lot about the relationship. And I think that's good. So I think that's a great way to put it. It's definitely very big.
And you've always been an inspiration to me for just like strong and gritty and it's a fine balance. And this is again, you've been this for me. Like we had a lot of similar personality styles, but like some of the ways that we've like processed things and learned through things, because I have always been a lot more emotional, internal, but like sometimes you just got to be strong and just like, still be sensitive, still be loving, still all the things, but also sometimes life is just hard and you just got to go through it. And you need those people around you that are also there with you, supporting you and helping to push, pull, bringing you alongside. And you've always been one of those people in my life that I've been inspired by as far as strength and just sort of like, man, now, are you going to let someone say no, that you can't do that, right? Or you're going to tell yourself you can't do that? Like, heck no, right?
Never,
so we're moving forward. Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely say that is a lot of really grateful for just having gone through all that to get me to the other side of this and really helping to just encourage other people who struggle. And understanding, right? And I'm 45, you're 43, 42, that, it's like, we're still in the middle of our life. Like life is still going to be hard. But with that being said, how can we use what we've learned and like hold on to the good stuff, let go of the negative, move forward and just continue. And I feel like the best place I have been in as long as I can remember of just feeling at peace and having, being able to really lean into the joyful parts of life because of that. Yep.
Well said. And what do you hope women listening today kind of take away from your story?
I think, it's a similar theme consistently, but it is just really like, if there's anything you're struggling with, that you really just let yourself lean into it a little bit more, and to just
make it a little more uncomfortable.
Make it a little bit more uncomfortable, with the goal of it being that you are going to confront that and overcome that, because it will follow you. And that was what I was going to say before too, because the way that it comes out, as it did for both of us, right, was a lot of like, let's just eat, let's just drink, let's just smoke, like, let's just, like cigarettes, like, let's just, ignore it. Right. I mean, and I think a lot of times that's where people find themselves, and there's this unhappiness.
It's coming out in all of these other ways.
Because
like it's going to show up.
I know it is going to show up. Right. There's all these books, The Body Keeps a Score, like all these things that show like it's going to come out, right? Whether you do it intentionally or not, it's going to come out, and the struggles you have in your relationships. It's part of your whole self,
and you're caring.
Yeah. And so all that to say, I think that is where I have found so much healing, so much peace, and helps me to have so much joy, which has opened me up to be able to do the things and experiences and to pursue the professional, pursue the job or pursue the financial place or, the adventures and where I want to go. it empowers you because you're not being held down by these things. And so with that being said, I always tell people, like, I know that you're struggling with this, but there are underlying things. I'm not your therapist, right? Necessarily, like, but with that being said, maybe if you do lean into that a little bit further, like, I just want you to be happy and I want you to release it. And the same that you would want from me. And so I think that's a dialogue that is not always popular as far as, you know, in the fun friend group. It's like, let's just have drinks and be, you know, live our life, which is, of course, we all want that. But we definitely need those friends in our life that are saying, like, girl, but you're struggling, and like, let's either talk about it or like, what can you do to help?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that there's the other side of that. And the other side of that is where you can be released of a lot of that weight and like live happier.
Yes.
And I think that's like that's what everybody wants. I would assume, I would hope.
I think so. Absolutely. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for quick response questions? So as you know, 5 seconds to answer or you get buzzed.
Oh, man.
And they are new because it's the new year. So listen up. Okay. What's your go-to hype song when you need to feel unstoppable?
Glorious by Macklemore.
Ooh, very good one. What's your food you'll never get tired of?
Pizza.
Same. Morning pizza.
Morning pizza.
Yes, that's also a thing. I love morning pizza. Morning person or night owl?
Oh, definitely a morning person.
I think you've built that for sure. Yeah. Maybe you were a night person before.
I passed out now at like 10 p.m.
I saw 11 o'clock last night. I was like,
what?
Who am I as a person?
Yeah,
I can't fall asleep. I had a little bit of espresso at dinner.
Oh, okay. Can't do that.
It was a mock espresso, a mock espresso teeny. So it wasn't
amazing.
No boozy,
but still
it's so good. But then I still had the espresso, and I'm like,
I had to stop coffee at 3 p.m.
I know, me too. I'm like,
this is
the joke that you always heard the old people talk about, and then you're the old person. And you're
I'm
like,
the old person.
God, you guys are right. This caffeine,
though. Decaf? Can I have a decaf? Thanks. Yeah.
I'm like, why am I even drinking this? If you had a personal assistant for one task in your life, what would you delegate instantly?
Cleaning my house. I don't want to do it ever, but I do. But I don't want to.
I understand. Yeah, you're great. You're a picker-upper person.
I know, but I hate it. Lovely. It's like I just want it to be clean all the time, and I don't want to have to do it. I mean, if you asked.
Got it.
I would say.
Okay. Last show you binge watched in one weekend?
Oh, Emily in Paris.
Oh, great one. I don't know why I thought it was going to be something like, I was going to be like, ooh, really? I don't know.
I just couldn't remember, but I'm like, I
tumultuous.
literally just watched like a season and a half of that.
What's a hobby you'd love to be amazing at, but refuse to practice?
Oh, singing.
Ooh, good one. First job you ever had?
Was at Hardee's in Buchanan.
Oh, nice. Hardee's. Are they still there?
No, they weren't even still there. For like, I was there for a year. I went to Florida with my dad on spring break, and they closed while I was there. I didn't have a job.
You like come home, you're like, I don't have a job.
I was like 17. I was like, and then they gave me my last check. I was so mad.
Oh, Hardee's, pull it together.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
If you could teleport anywhere right this second, where are you going?
Let's see here. Well, next on my list was Spain, so we'll just say that.
Great one.
Because I haven't been.
Oh, love it. I've been in a baby amount, and it's fantastic. What's a quote or phrase you use way too often?
Stop it.
Stop it.
I didn't realize I did.
Stop it.
So I met someone new and they started laughing because it was just a funny
I've
thing.
never noticed that.
Well, it was only in that scenario
you,
because I was in an area of like meeting a lot of new people, a lot of things going on, and they were being funny to ease it up. And I was cracking up and I was like, stop it. I didn't realize. But offhand, yeah, that's just what popped in my head.
That's a good one. What is your, I don't care if it's basic, I love it item or trend?
I don't care if it's basic, I love it item or trend. Ooh, I don't even know what would be basic. I think I'm getting buzzed.
I'm getting buzzed.
What's yours?
I don't know. I was thinking about the same thing. I was like, oh, I don't know if I even answered that for myself yet.
What's considered basic?
Like, I can figure this
out. Like my lipstick or something?
Yeah. Or like if you think about like what's not cool anymore that you're like, I don't care if it's cool. Skinny jeans.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say that. Dream dinner guest, living or dead. Who is it?
Oh my goodness. All the things. I mean, the list is super long. So dream dinner guest would be I don't know. I feel like Oprah and I would have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. I was going to say maybe like a Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
I know you like him.
Yeah. I feel like with Oprah, I love that she's well-rounded with all the things. I mean, obviously I was going to say Jesus, but then there's also, which obviously, but then there's like for living would definitely be someone who I can just, the Mel Robbins, the Oprah, that just the people who sort of dug into a lot of the stuff that I have and
that have kind of come along with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
Mel Robbins is another good one.
Yeah.
Oprah and Mel Robbins are great. Text, call, or voice note?
Text.
What app do you open more than you'd like to admit?
Facebook.
What's one word you hope people use to describe you 20 years from now?
Loving.
Perfect. See, one buzz, 1.5 buzzes. I didn't buzz you for the one, but I probably should have. But that's why. We'll let it slide.
I know. I probably deserve a few more buzzes, so.
See, you did it. Is there anything else we didn't talk about today that you want to mention to everybody?
I feel like we talked about so much.
We did so good.
I was not even sure that what I was going to talk about, but it turns out I have a lot to say.
Well, you did wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me on the pod. For everybody that has not yet, please connect with Sherina.
Yes.
On, I would assume, social,
yes.
LinkedIn. You're everywhere.
I am. Facebook, Instagram.
Same for A Rosie Place.
Yep.
Facebook, LinkedIn, they're everywhere. Yep. Social media, website. So connect with you. Connect with them. Get your dance party ticket for the Sweethearts Ball. Join us. It will be a great time.
We're going to have fun.
And then, of course, come back next month for All About the Girls, and we will see you then.